Hello, and welcome back to Wingot Plays Nomifactory. I, between episodes, have done a little bit. I've expanded the deep mob learning to now have there's 13 simulation chambers there. And so the pulsating clay has completely filled up that drawer. I've rebuilt the system downstairs to make the pulsating clay. I've moved it from over there where it was all LV tier to over here where it's MV tier. And I've put some extra melters making glass and made sure that everything is completely keeping up and completely backing up. This electrolyzer is sort of just barely keeping up. Well, actually, this electrolyzer is keeping up with 2 chemical reactors, keeping them completely full, plus the excess is being pumped into our drawers to produce us infinite nether quartz. So, producing more than 2 chemical reactors worth there. But on top of that, I also did a bit of work over here. I've converted the blast furnaces finally so that they're passive. All of these ones on the left are passively creating the annealed copper ingots. Why is there a creeper here? The annealed copper ingots, the energetic alloys, and the vibrant alloy, and then this one's just a spare energetic alloy to split the work a bit, because energetic alloys are of course required for the vibrant alloys. So I thought it better to I thought it better to have a second source of the energetic alloy so that both can be produced. This network is separated. Up here we have an interface connected to the main system, which is exposing our gold, glowstone, redstone, ender pearls, and copper ingots to the system. And here we can see we've actually got, that's our main systems network. But there's no connection. There's no connection from that system to this system here. This system here has its own energy acceptor. It's got 4 4K crafting storages, which have various jobs running. And if we take a look in here, the only things in this ME system are those are the various input components which are being pulled out of that interface, and out of that interface they come into these drawers, which are set to only have a single stack each, and then that makes them available to the system to use for crafting. And then the system just has a interface here which always wants to keep in stack 16 energetic alloy ingots, 16 vibrant alloy ingots, and 16 annealed copper ingots. And then those are being used, are being pulled out into these drawers here, each of which is set to have just 32 stacks. And so once it gets to 2000, it'll shut off. And so eventually we'll have 3 full stacks of annealed copper ingots, energetic alloys, and vibrant alloys. And basically that's the blueprint of how I'm planning on doing the passive blast furnace automation. Other than that, we've still got over here, this one is still producing the aluminium ingots, but I always could have moved that across. And then this one over here is creating our on-demand recipes of rose gold, stainless steel, and silicon balls. Perfect. Other than that, I don't think there's anything much that I've done between episodes, except I went exploring so that I could get, so that I could find some leather, so that I could finally make this glider. Because the hang glider needs 12 leather, it needs 6 leather for each side, but I went looking, found, and it took 2 whole Minecraft days in order to get find enough cows and enough leather to be able to make the glider. In that time though, I ran into a couple of blitzes, and those couple of blitzes dropped these Blitz Rods. And those Blitz Rods you can turn into Blitz Powder, and then the Blitz Powder are Aerothium Dust, which gets access to this Thermal Elemental Data Model. And then that Thermal Elemental Data Model gets access to Blitz, Basols, and Blizz Rods, the other 3 non-blaze rods. So, perfect. And that's allowed me to then run the Blitz data model. In fact, it's in here still somewhere. And there you go, with the 16 thermal elementals in there. This one's completely full as well. So, just look at that. It's superior. It's got 28 more runs until it becomes self-aware. Okay, but we definitely don't need any more of that Blitz. So let's put that away, and we may as well run the Creeper produces lead, the Witch produces glowstone and redstone. So we'll put the Witch back in so that we can create more of those two. Perfect. But yes, creating that Blitz allowed me to, yes, obviously get all of the various rods. So if we look here, we've got some Blitz Rods, we've got the Blaze Rods from before, we've got the Basalt's Rods, and we've even got more of those Blitz Rods. Those allow us to get everything we need to make the Nether Star. The Nether Star uses, Erothium dust, which is just Blitz powder, saltpeter. Saltpeter dust you could also get from that thermal pristine, and some Nether quartz. Same thing here with the west is just cryothium, and all it needs is a snowball. The petrothium just needed some obsidian dust, and then the pyrothium is blaze powder and sulfur dust. So we've got everything that we need for those, and in fact I've already crafted up the 4 points, the 4 tips of the Nether Star. And if we just take a look here, the last thing that we need is this block of luminescence in order to make the Nether Star. Once we can make the Nether Star, that will mean that we can make the data model for the Wither, I think. I thought that the Wither data model required a Nether Star. Yeah, there you go, Nether Star, perfect. I don't know why I can't see it here then. Nether Star. Oh, it's right there. Yep, cool. So we could easily make that, but we just need to make this luminescence. Luminescence chemical reactor with aluminium dust and energetic blend. Easy, we've got both of those. And then phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid has basically 2 recipes. You can either use apatite or you can use phosphorus dust, water and oxygen. I think we might even already have some phosphorus dust in the system. Phosphorus dust. So how about we just manually make some of this luminescence? So just need a random chemical reactor and another chemical reactor. So let's make a couple of chemical reactors. For now we'll make these manually, but in future I'm sure we will automate the production of phosphorus dust. Now let's look, those are processes. Yep, okay. So give me those. And in fact, let's have a quick look. Luminescence is used to make the block. Lumium blend. Yeah, okay, so it's used to make these basic components, and basically all the components that we're going to need for extended crafting. It's also used to make end stone in a chemical reactor. However, we've also got this recipe for end stone, so we don't really have a urgent need for end stone through that process. But in future, I'm sure that will be a much more efficient method than the current end stone system. Also, I'm guessing that lumium blend's important, and I know that extended crafting definitely is. We'll want to get into that sooner rather than later. The angel ring here, we've got pretty well everything we need to make that now. We've got the rose gold. I've already crafted the reinforced jetpack, and I've made a spare, and it just needs 2 vibrant jetpacks, which the only thing that I haven't yet made is the soul binders. But the angel ring is very close. We can make that very soon. Nether Star, very close. We just need to wait on. Oh, there we go. It's made them perfect. And then we're going to need some MV machine holes. Let's just make 20. And we need some copper cables, which is here. Make another 200. seem to be forever using copper cables. Although I think those go into the circuits and the MV machine holes, so they do get used up pretty quickly. Perfect. Why is the MV machine hole not working? We're waiting on aluminium plates, but the compressor is being used for rubber sheets. I think rubber sheets and aluminium plates should probably be in different... There you go, aluminium plate, rubber sheet. I think it probably makes sense to actually move rubber sheet over to this machine here, although steel and rubber does get used reasonably frequently together. Otherwise, I could maybe move it here into this first one. There we go. But that it's crafting anyway, and all we need is 2 of these MV machine holes to be able to craft our 2 chemical reactors and work on this process manually. When you're ready, come on. 6, 7. As soon as that hits 8, it'll be able to create another casing and then another hole. There we go. Perfect. And now we can create 2 advanced chemical reactors. If we just pop down here to our MV machine line, what we could do is just for now place it over here. And then, so what do we need? We need aluminium dust and energetic blend. We can grab both of those. I think we've got some energetic blend sitting there, and aluminium dust is also available, being passively generated. Perfect. So those 2 go in there, and then we just need the phosphoric acid, which is our phosphorus dust here. What is it? 1 makes 1,000. You need 2,000. So we're going to, and that makes 4 luminescence. So we're going to need to run at least 6 of this. Perfect. Now, it also needs water and oxygen. So water is rather simple. We could just grab that out of here and put that in there. And then oxygen, probably the simplest option is to just go downstairs to where oxygen is being produced here and grab a tank of that. Perfect. MB machines and you, oxygen, done. And then easiest is probably just to tell that to output to that side, although I do wonder whether phosphoric is going to be a requirement of one of these. Methanol, ammonia, phosphoric acid, there we go. So I think it's best to grab a bucket first and grab 1 bucket of that. Perfect. And then we can output it there, and we can tell this that it's allowed to output its fluids. Perfect, at which point that'll run. It made 12 luminescence. Perfect. That 12 luminescence can then be converted into a block of luminescence, which means we can now make our nether star core, or 4 of them really, and we can now make a nether star. Perfect. And now the last thing we need is to make our data model of a wither, and this will complete our early game chapter, because that will make the very last of our extraterrestrial mobs. Perfect. And we've got our first chapter ticked off. Arguably, we actually already had this chapter ticked off, but given that this cake-based dimensional transit resets every hour, it tends to show that you've got a completed quest instead of that it's finished. But perfect. We've now got the wither data model. It would use 6,666 RF per tick, but I've previously actually run the dragon data model for a bit, and the system was able to keep up. It didn't even max out, when I had the Dragon data model running. And if we take a quick look there, so we've got over 1,000 RF per tick available in each of these. There's 9 of them. So that means we've got over 9,000 RF per tick available. Why is that one? Power output 300 RF per tick. That one doesn't seem to be running properly, despite all the others running properly. I wonder if it's to do with it outputting into the same cable as this one next to it. I might have to try fiddling around with that later. But anyway, we've still got at least 8,000 spare RF per tick available, so we could run this with the data model, which would allow us to get these Wither Realm datas, Drop of Evil, and Wither Bone. Thing is, we don't necessarily need any of those right now, so let's leave the Ender Dragon data model and the Wither data model just sitting there. But we've at least made all of them. Awesome. Let's just put away all of this extra stuff that we've got. And then take a look at our clipboard here. The one thing we've got left to do is the Distillation Tower on our clipboard. And if we take a quick look here at our early game, the Distillation Tower and the Multi Smelter are the only 2 things left from GregTech. There's also actually additions, and there's extra utilities to move into, but for the time being, I think it's probably best to just make these 2 multi-blocks. Now, I think they've pretty much already been made. So the Distillation Tower is going to just need a couple of electric pumps, and I did see that that's at HP. It's going to need some large stainless steel pipes, which I have taught the system to make already, and it's just going to have to craft some stainless steel, which I think is a blast furnace recipe. So that'll take 30 seconds each. So to make the 24, it's going to take 12 minutes to make the 24 stainless steel ingots that that recipe is going to need. Although it does look like it's only crafting 8. 2 scheduled. Oh, okay. It's crafting 8 for the electric pump, and then another 24 for these large stainless steel pipes. So in total, we're making 32. So that's going to be 16 minutes for those stainless steels to be made. In the meantime, let's have a quick look at the Multi Smelter, which I thought that I had made one of, but oh no, the thing it was needing is it needed this annealed copper cables, and now that those have been created, we can grab that Multi Smelter, and if we take a look, it's a single layer 3x3. So we can just grab 8 copper nickel, and then we're just going to need some input hatches. It'll need an energy input hatch at least. It'll need a input bus so that it can accept items. It will need an output bus so it can output items. And then other than that, it should just require some heat-proof casing. And we'll take some cable so that we can set this up downstairs there. And then we'll play around with the actual layout later. It'll probably wind up going downstairs. But for now, we could just put it here. Heatproof casing. Copper nickel layer. And then a top layer, which we'll set up so that we'll put the input bus and output bus on the front here, so they can go there. Oh, we also need an energy port. Energy port can go right there. Energy cable can... Starting to get ugly. Like, I don't know that it was not ugly already, but there you go. Good. So that's done, and then we just need the input and output ports. And as always, output port can go on the left by default, input can go on the right. Perfect. Now that's been made, and so that should be able to smelt things. It can smelt 16 items in the time it takes a normal smelter to smelt one thing, and that's at this default tier. You can also get higher tiers just by swapping out the coil blocks, Canthal, Nichrome, and then tungsten steel, and eventually even higher. But from what I seem to remember, the energy discount works counterintuitively, I think, with overclocking. But anyway, that's getting way ahead of ourselves. For now, we've got a working multi-smelter, perfect, and I think that should have completed that quest, good. And then we just need the Distillation Tower, which is going to take a considerable period of time, and probably, let's have a quick look here, Distillation Tower. So we may as well grab, it's going to need 20 clean stainless steel casings. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to assume that that is stainless steel plates, yep. And, okay. So that's just a random assembling machine recipe. So we'll put it there into our random one. We've got stainless steel frames already there. And then I don't know if we've got stainless steel plates. We do. So at that point, we should actually be able to create these clean stainless steel. Yep, the only thing it's missing is rubies. Perfect. And let's take a quick look whether ruby ore does have a omni coin recipe. So let's just do that. And we can smelt those into normal rubies, or we could make crushed ruby ore, which then can be pulverized into impure pile of ruby dust in an implosion compressor. Yeah, okay. So it looks like just smelting these is the most reliable way. So let's use our brand new multi-smelter. Input bus. Bang, 16. Progress. Done. 16 rubies. Perfect. And I think each run of this is about the same 10 seconds that a normal default smelter takes to do a single item run. Perfect. Now we can put those in there, and then we could tell this to craft 20 of those, and it'll just use those rubies. Perfect. Now, the last thing though, so that's making 8 stainless steel ingots. That's making another 24, I think it was. Oh, this one here is going to be making 53 more. So together, that's going to be 40 minutes or so for this various stainless steel to be created to make the clean stainless steel casings and the Distillation Tower. These others are pretty easy to make. May as well just get those ready in the system. So fluid output hatch. I am surprised that I never taught the system how to make that. Okay, easy fix though. Fluid output hatch MV. Good. Make that. And that's just a random molecular assembler recipe. Perfect. And then we've got a fluid input hatch and a fluid output hatch done. We apparently need 2 fluid output hatches. In fact, I believe we're going to need more than that. But basically in the Distillation Tower, you put in the item or fluid that you want to distill, and then it breaks it apart into various outputs. For each output that the fluid can be made into, you need another layer with another fluid output hatch. But that also means you need 8 more of these clean stainless steel casings as well for each layer. So to start with, it basically suggests converting biomass into ethanol and water, which is arguably something that we're doing with the distiller block. We're making biomass into ethanol and we don't care about water. But the in future we'll want things like oil, which I think separates into 4 different things. So we'll need a 4-layer distillation tower. In the meantime, let's take a look. So fluid input hatch, we've made that. Fluid output hatches, we've made that and that. Good. Now we need the buses. We need an input bus and an output bus, I think. Good. And that should match all of the... Oh. Apparently it's going to require us to make LV versions, which I might just do off camera, off screen, just because it, yeah, just to fill these requirements. Awesome. Anyway, in the meantime, let's have a quick look at what else we could do. We could make this machine block and make the Dark Steel Enchanter, or we could get started on Actually Additions. I feel like there's enough there in Actually Additions that we probably don't have time to go down that path for the time being. So let's just take a quick look here at the machine block. So to make the machine block, let's get rid of the luminescence there. Let's get rid of the nether star. We've got everything that we need because we found some random black quartz sitting in one of those chests out in the Lost Cities. But what we need to do to make it is we need to crush quartzite and then electrolyze that to make crushed black quartz, and then we can run that in an autoclave with water. Yeah, cool. We've got quartzite, we can make that into dust. That's an easy recipe to create. But for the time being, there's our machine block, and it's recommending that we make a Dark Steel Enchanter. Vanilla enchanting mechanics are just so tedious. I agree. Don't you wish you could just make a specific enchant instead of grinding levels and rolling the die? Okay, Dark Steel Enchanter. So first we need to make a standard enchanter. Here, from extra utilities, system does not know how to make book and quill. Although, okay, yes, yep. Fine, we'll make one manually. In future we can teach the system how to make those, but for now, that'll do. That's the enchanter, and then we just need some dark steel ingots, which we've taught the system how to make previously. Perfect. As soon as those come in, we will be able to finish that extra utilities branch of our early game, and then the only things we'll have left to do is to make the Distillation Tower and the Actually Additions. And then we'll be able to get on to doing Microverse, which definitely seems like a bit of a fun concept and a bit of an interesting change on how basically quarries often tend to work. Cool. This looks like it could be quite interesting. Okay, so we use book and quill with various items to get the various enchants we want. That looks pretty cool. Withering, repellent, holding, whirlpool, multi-shot, smelting, insight. Yeah, okay. I think I'm pretty happy with that. In the meantime, we'll just get another recipe here for a book and quill. May as well know how to make that. And that can go there. Cool. Now, the last thing, we're just waiting on this Distillation Tower. We'll go down the route of Actually Additions, I think, next episode. But for now, the Distillation Tower, we're just waiting on this various stainless steel to be made. And that's going to, as I said, that's going to take half a minute for each individual stainless steel ingot. And so I'm just going to pause here while those various things craft in the background. For you, it'll take no time. For me, I'll see you in a minute. And with that, I have created the various components that are required to make the Distillation Tower. But in the meantime, I decided to re-expand the blast furnace here so that all 3 of these can make stainless steel ingots. And so we've now got simultaneous processing of stainless steel requests. And I put in a request to make 300 more of it for me. So it'll just be sitting in the system there in future. Very similar to how we were previously doing the vibrant and energetic alloys. But for the time being, the distillation tower, all of the various components have now been made. So if we just tell that to craft, then all we need is that clean stainless steel casing, and that should be everything we need to make a distillation tower. Fluid input hatch. Why do I not have the fluid input hatch on me? I thought I made an LV version of that. Okay, very easily fixed. Fluid input, LV, go. Done. Everything we need for a distillation tower. Perfect. So let's try this one out. So that can go there. We'll put some of this clean stainless steel around the base. We'll need a fluid output hatch, which, how about we put that on the left as per normal. And then we can have, oh right, because I made 4 fluid output hatches in preparation for when I expand this in future. It's going to need a fluid input hatch, 2 fluid output hatches, and an output bus. So this output bus here can go in fact, I do wonder whether those need to be on the actual bottom layer. So what do we got here? Output bus and the fluid input. Output bus, fluid input hatch. Then we're going to obviously need energy input hatch. And finally, we get to make the rest of this grid. And then I think you have to cap it off as well. Invalid structure. Why? Oh! Right. This sword can teleport. It doesn't like that fluid input hatch being there. So maybe... Oh, that's right. I believe the fluid input hatch has to actually go right there. And I don't know if it'll work when it's rotated the wrong way. There we go. Perfect. So in order to get that to work, we are going to need to feed in to that spot there the fluid inputs that we want the distillation tower to use. But for the time being, distillation tower up and running, and if we just grab some cable to power it, then I can test this one out pretty easily by going and grabbing some biomass, which is just sitting there. In a distillation tower we need, we're going to need a full bucket worth. I don't know that there's much value in replacing this one at all. I think it's doing a pretty good job here. Speaking of, let's have a quick look here. So I've automated salt. So basically, whenever there's salt ore in the applied energistic system, it will automatically get pulled out and put into that macerator there. Although I don't remember how that works. And then that will automatically create the salt that is needed in here. There we go. Yeah, it's full of salt. And that salt is used to make chlorine. So so long as there's salt in the system, and I believe there's a salt drawer somewhere. But I'm thinking the distillation tower is probably going to be more useful with cracking oil, which is something that we're going to need to do. There you go, oil. Sulfuric, gas, heavy oil, heavy fuel, light fuel, and naphtha. My understanding is this is something that we are going to need to do in HV tier, or maybe to get access to the HV tier, because I see that it is only 96 EU per tick. And that's where I think we'll probably wind up using the distillation tower more. And as I said, the oil breaks into 4, so we're going to need the distillation tower to be 4 high. But in order to make it taller, I'm going to need more of this clean stainless steel casing, which obviously needs more stainless steel. So we'll leave that stainless steel running in the background, and that should create plenty of stainless steel. There you go, it's already made 73 since the point where I was able to make the Distillation Tower. So yeah, pretty happy with our progress today. We've created 2 multi-block structures, and we've started that little bit of extra utilities and got access to this dark steel enchanter. Pretty awesome. I think, as I said, next episode, I think we'll probably run through this atomic applied energistics setup, and that will finish off our early game and get us into the microverse. I look forward to it. Stay happy and healthy, and I hope to see you in the next one.